Hello.
Hello.
Hi, ladies.
Hello, everybody.
I'm gonna be probably off screen a lot because I have my grandkids. Right now, my grandson's asleep, so things are relatively calm. Not sure what's gonna happen when he wakes his 3-year-old self up.
Baby time.
Oh yeah. So Jay was here and left because I guess it was just me and her. Me and her.
Who was there?
Jay Red Rose. She's the speaker for tonight.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Nadia, can you help me? So it's she and they.
So pronouns are she, they, but I usually the best thing is to just have them confirm their pronouns,
Okay.
and they'll usually do it when they're speaking. I use they for everyone now, just because
Okay.
I'm in so many of those circles, and I don't get a chance always to ask the kids what their pronouns are, so I just use they.
Okay. No
But-
problem. So Rosamund, I'm gonna make you a co-host.
Thank you.
Hi Yvonne. I was sharing that I'm on grandma duty. So will probably be going off screen and muting at some points. My 3-year-old grandson is asleep right now. Not really sure what he's gonna wake up like. I mean, he might wake up rested, refreshed, and just with a pleasant, everything.
We can only hope.
Well, Yvonne, you're muted.
So I said, if he's sleeping, he should wake up rested.
Yeah, FOMO is terrible though. It feels like he missed something. Aw. But yeah, I'm learning. You're welcome.
So kind to take you to shopping.
Oh boy. So who's gonna speak to the party? I mean, about the Roosevelt Honors Party.
I am.
Okay, perfect. So you decided you wanted to be on camera instead of on the phone?
Who are you talking to?
You?
Me?
Yeah.
That text before was like from March.
Oh. Okay. You'll
And
have
that day I was going to be on the phone.
So Nadia, even though you attended the Council of Clubs, I was told that since you only were signed in as for your club that you're president of, they think our club wasn't represented.
Do we have to go there every month? I'm like, do they keep us on track? I mean, I think they give us like 2 where you don't have to attend, because that's what they do for the local like thing. But even then, it really was about the dinner, how to fundraise, which I think we're doing a fundraiser, right?
Yeah.
And it was basically how to fundraise, to put it out with enough time for the county party to kind of share it in all their spaces, and to the ways to do it financially, which I think Rosamund is already familiar with. And then just the purpose of it overall. It was pretty basic. It was a
Okay.
lot of I don't know, it was just a lot of,
that we need to make sure, and in order to do that, we need to make sure that our tax dollars are spent on priorities that align with our values. Air, water, safe, I need to say yes, otherwise it will kick me off. Make sure our tax dollars are spent on things that align with our values, right? Air, water, beaches, parks, and must fundamentally re-examine how we fund public safety. And really that looks to making sure victims' voices are heard, making sure that people are in the community, making sure that we're proactive to intervene when possible, because there are a lot of things that happen. A lot of us know and see red flags, and we need to communicate those. So I'm ready to lead change in a bureaucratic machine. It stagnates. And in order to get things done, you need to push hard. We need to rein in out of control cost of living and get developers to help fight this. We need to reduce traffic, make roads safer. It's really hard to walk in the streets when there's not safe sidewalks, when there are, it's not enough lighting. Cars go by really fast. We have a lot of boulevards and places that are just not making our world walkable. Make sure that our homeless neighbors have supportive housing, supportive permanent housing. Not everybody can just raise themselves up from their bootstraps, and ensure that the government has a plan that they can deliver for their citizens. Protect families and kids from gun violence is really part of that, because we've seen an uptick, and we need to really make sure that we're working hard together for a safe community. So thank you, everybody. And it's much harder than everybody thinks, but we can do it. Nicole for San Diego.
Well, thank you, Nicole. So Barrett isn't able to raise her hand, but she did let me know in the chat that she wanted to speak. So I'll go ahead and let her go next.
Yes, I don't know if it's something that I'm doing or not doing, because it's happened in more than one meeting. I don't have the hand thing. Anyway, so I'm Barrett Holman Leak, and it was just to say that I'm running for the district that's soon to be renamed, renumbered. And so my website is up, which is Barrett, BARRETT, 4 Congress.com. And slowly but surely, things are kind of just slow and easy right now, but I'm really excited about just getting to know people in the community and in the clubs, and getting to participate in things. I was really pleased yesterday to be a part of the Pride Ride through Lemon Grove and Spring Valley, and the Pride family gathering that took place in Spring Valley. Seeing things change so much since I was, much younger, seeing that there could even be such a thing is really amazing, and so much more to do, but so glad for progress made. And so you will be hearing more and more from me, and I'm really glad to get to know everyone here. And I'm really got Tommy again, so I'm really getting to know Tommy. Thank you very much. I'm done.
All right, thank you, Barrett. Tommy Howe.
Thank you, Dr. Richmond. Yeah, it's funny, when you are a candidate and you're on the campaign trail, you often tend to see a lot of your fellow candidates, but it's wonderful to see everyone tonight. I'm Democrat Tommy Howe, San Diego County Planning Commissioner, running for San Diego City Council in District 6. And as I've often said for too long, our D6 neighborhoods in Claremont and Mira Mesa and Kearney Mesa and Sorrento Valley and Miramar and Penasquitos haven't had anyone fighting for our middle class at City Hall. This goes back to when Lori Zapp was representing us. We need streetlights. We need our roads rebuilt. We need our parks and our libraries restored. We are the heart of San Diego, where the people who power this city live. 140,000 San Diego neighbors who power these economic centers like Convoy, like Miramar, like Sorrento Valley. That's why I'm running for city council, to represent my neighbors. We have libraries in Claremont suffering from decades of deferred maintenance. The city's already given up on trying to restore one of our senior centers in Claremont, and they've closed it. We can't lose city assets like this. This is ridiculous. We had to transfer operation of the Mira Mesa Epicenter to the county because the city couldn't find a vendor for it or get it restored. And I worked with Supervisor Tara Lawson-Reamer to help facilitate that. Now, my campaign does have plans for a lot of the new community plan updates, including the ongoing project in Mira Mesa, the just passed update for Kearney Mesa that includes Convoy. And speaking of which, our Pints with Tommy event which we did quite a bit of in 2018 when I ran as the endorsed Democratic candidate for the seat. We resume in-person events this Thursday at 4 at Protector Brewery in Mira Mesa, right across from Southwest Carpenters on Miralani Drive. We'd love to have everyone stop by. There's more information on my website, tommyhough.com, H-O-U-G-H, and I'll include my information in the chat. Again, Tommy Howe for San Diego City Council. It is time for Neighborhoods First, running for City Council in District 6. I look forward to speaking with you more about all of these issues. Great seeing everyone. Have a great meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Next, we have Alina June Nawabi.
Hey everyone, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you so much. My name is Alina Junawabi. I am an Afghan refugee. My family and we came to San Diego with nothing. But working really hard, we managed to get out of all sorts of situations. We finished our school, we got involved in community, we started nonprofit organizations, as well as helping other refugees that came into San Diego. Because my family and we struggled so much with language barrier, just having nothing itself was a barrier itself. But we're very grateful, we're very blessed, and as a result, I'm running for San Diego City Council to share whatever blessings my family and I have received through the work of other folks and share that with the folks that are living in D6. So I'm running for City Council District 6, and I would love your support. I would love to talk about my policies with you. If you have any questions, I'll put my phone number in the chat. We can sit down and speak one-to-one about what concerns you might have. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alina. And now we go to Lori Saldana.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is a little different. This is not a candidate announcement, but it is about a public interest lawsuit that has been filed against the city of San Diego. And it has to do with the actions of some city council members who approved the San Diego Gas and Electric franchise last month. And I don't know how many of you were following that, but it was really a battle that came down to just one vote by a council member who initially sided with the opponents, and then day of the meeting changed his vote. And so I'm on the board of a foundation that is a nonprofit, and we are suing on behalf of the citizens, the ratepayers, the residents of San Diego over rates that are the highest utility rates in California, over an unfair burden of climate that wasn't fully addressed, and we allege in our lawsuit. And so I want to let people know, because this is a complicated case, and it's one of two lawsuits that the city council is facing related to this franchise agreement. And since we are a political club and we have a supermajority of Democrats on the council, I wanted to update people separately from my board report, because this is something I do as a volunteer on a foundation. This is not my vice president or vice chair hat that I'm wearing. The problem is, sadly, we have a city attorney's office that negotiated a bad deal for San Diego. And we're seeing increasingly how the city attorney's office has negotiated deals that are starting to fall apart on real estate and now on this franchise agreement. And today, to give you an example of how badly managed the city attorney's office is, they were ready to go to council and ask for outside contract with a law firm to help them defend the contract they supposedly negotiated with SDG&E. And then they realized at the last minute that company, that other attorney's office was conflicted because they had represented Sempra, the parent company of SDG&E. So they had to withdraw that at the last minute. It's really, the city attorney's office has some serious problems. Our foundation believes it's going to hurt ratepayers, taxpayers, and the climate in the long run because of this deal. I will keep people informed, but you may hear about it, read about it. The city's going to try and discredit our case, but I want you to know we really are doing this in the public interest to defend the citizens' right to a fair contract, and more to come later. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. So looks like we've got all the hands covered. Yeah, I guess I'll come back on camera for a wee bit. I'm going to share my screen again because I believe we now have a quorum and are able to approve the agenda. Is that correct?
Yes, we have quorum.
Okay, now I just need to have the screen again. Doo, doo, doo. Let me try this again. Go here. Go here. Go here. And now I ought to be able to do it. Yes. All right. So now I would like to approve the agenda if there are no changes or corrections. Is there a motion to approve or any need for discussion?
I make a motion.
Who made the motion?
Nadia.
Okay, is there a second?
I second it, Rosalind.
Okay, any, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? So the agenda will flow as follows. So we've had our candidate announcements. Now we do our recognition of elected officials and representatives. Doug Case, always happy to have you with us.
Okay. I'm Doug Case. I am the Political Affairs Director for Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins. And last month was between June 15th and June 30th when the legislature had approved a budget per the constitutional requirement. We were still negotiating with the governor, but by the end of the month, they came to an agreement with the governor regarding the budget. So I'll give you a update of what the final approved budget was. A significant part of it was what's referred to as the Golden State stimulus. You may recall that earlier in the year, there was a stimulus as a result of COVID giving to low-income Californians, those earning less than $30,000 a year, and that was for $600. The new stimulus increases that by $500 for those with children, and then for middle income, which is defined as $30,000 to $75,000, they also will get $600 and an additional $500 for families with children. And then additionally, taxpayers who are undocumented will now qualify, and depending upon their income level, they can have between $1,000 and $2,000 in the stimulus. And the higher amount is because they did not qualify for the federal stimulus. Some other significant things in the budget, including education at all levels, starting at from transitional kindergarten, which will be phased in over a 4-year period, as well as improving access for higher education through increasing Cal Grants. They expanded Medicaid to make immigrants who are 50 years of age or older eligible for Medicaid. You may recall a couple of years ago, they made youth at 26 years of age or younger who are undocumented eligible for Medicaid, and this expands it to include seniors 50 or older. You may also have seen in the paper that the legislature and the governor approved an extension of the rent moratorium until the end of September, and also are making it possible for those with low incomes who are behind on their rent because of COVID to have the entirety of their back rent paid going back to last April. But they need to apply for that before September the 30th. And so all in all, it was a $263 billion budget. There's a lot of good stuff in there, including some funding for homelessness, affordable housing, our various crises, including the climate crisis, the drought, and wildfires. So there's a lot of positive news there. And unlike last year when we were facing a significant budget deficit, this year, because of the federal stimulus and because revenues were higher than anticipated, we were able to have a budget that is really transformative. And finally, I want to mention the recall. It's really important that we do everything possible to ensure the recall against our governor is not successful. The polls look good, but the unfortunate thing is the people who are inclined to vote in a recall are those that are dissatisfied. And so it's really important that we get all Democrats to turn in their ballot. Everybody in California who's a registered voter will receive a ballot, and they'll go out in the middle of August. And the election date is September the 14th. And the polls will also be open in person on the 14th and also on 3 days prior to the 14th. But the key thing is that we need to get volunteers to phone bank and to walk door to door to get the message out. It's important to have everybody return their ballot so that we make sure that Governor Newsom is not recalled. The way that the recall will work, there'll be 2 questions on the ballot. The first question is, do you want to recall Governor Newsom? And if that gets 50% plus 1, then the candidate who gets the most votes. And the second question is, who would you like to replace Governor Newsom would be elected? I think, I forget what the number is, but it seems like it's around 30 or 40 people who are running. There's no big name Democrats running. No, but if we're not successful in getting a no vote on the first one, we could end up with a Republican like Kevin Faulconer as our governor. So it's really important that we pay attention and volunteer and prevent this recall.
All right, thank you. So let's see here. Next thing on the agenda is, that should be pretty simple. It's an introduction of guest speakers. And so our first speaker is not really a guest, but it's super, I think, appropriate to have her as one of our speakers today because she is an LGBTQ plus activist and mama bear, and she's been doing a lot to support youth recently, and I think the work that she's doing is really important. So we will begin with our own, well, let's start with the president of the Bonita Democratic Club and East Lake Bonita Democratic Club. And I forget what your role is on the Pantsuit Nation. And then our very own Director of Communications, Nadia King Ayub, and please forgive me my oversight. It in no way diminishes the esteem with which I see you.
No, I appreciate that. I find it hard to keep track of stuff myself, so I completely understand. I was actually kind of hoping to go after Jay Red Rose, who is an amazing activist and board member on the T-Spot, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's
I think
fine. You can introduce them and then, you know, wrapped up.
I think they have an amazing voice, and I think they deserve to be heard first because they are, while we're both members of the LGBTQ community, Jay has been involved much longer than I, and she has done wonderful things. So if you want to spotlight Jay.
Thank you, thank you. You're doing amazing things yourself, so you know I'm always looking up to things you're doing. Yeah, J Red Rose. My pronouns are she, her, or they, them. I do a lot of activism in trans spaces and sex worker spaces. Yeah, I think, you know, this month being, you know, Pride Month for San Diego and, you know, Pride season in general, which, you know, is always loved. It tries, you know, to bring us back to what Pride started as and how we're, you know, nowhere near accomplishing what its original goal was. Pride was a riot against police who continuously raided queer bars. Pride wasn't, you know, necessarily, you know, one thing that it started as, but the most, you know, memorable and the thing that's, you know, set it off was the Stonewall riots in, things happened before that, things happened after that, but that's something well remembered. And the people that started that were queer, people of color, trans people, butch lesbians, and they were fighting for equality. And we're not there. Marriage equality, a lot of queer people stopped there, but disabled people still don't have that, equality of marriage. So you've got to think of the intersectionality of the marginalization. And we have disabled Black trans women who are, at or close to at the bottom, who are nowhere near getting their rights. Yeah. Inclusivity, when, all of you that are running for offices, you need to listen to those voices, the most marginalized. Yes, there are Black women, but are they disabled? Are they trans? Are those voices being heard? Because it's important. And, being Pride Month, everyone wants to, everyone is able to listen. It's, got a little bit of the spotlight. But for a lot of you, I don't, notice it go past then there. And, we really need to be seeing more. Yeah, there's too much marginalization, and there's too many people that think they are the most marginalized and it stops with them. Yes, women are marginalized, but it goes further than that. Yes, Black women are marginalized, but it goes further than that. And you go down the list until you get to the bottom. And if we're fighting for the very lowest person in that marginalization totem, then there is, you're winning rights for yourself as well, but you're also making sure the people below you are taken care of. And that's something that, is not so much happening. If you believe in trans rights, there's no way fighting for trans women is not going to increase the rights of all women. Yeah, so that is what Pride means to me, is getting out there and continuing the fight and continuing to spread this knowledge of supporting, the most marginalized of the communities. A lot of folks, disregard that, and we just need to keep fighting until they stop disregarding it, stop trying to forget us from the equation. Yeah. So I guess, thank you for listening to me, and anytime, anyone has any interest in hearing trans voices talk about trans experiences, it's always something that, I am willing to arrange. I think another thing in mentioning that is remembering that it's a lot of emotional labor, and trans people need to be, compensated. People of color need to be compensated. Disabled people need to be compensated for, the work they do in education. So I definitely encourage all of you, when getting your education, to ask what you can do for these people that are educating you and how you can compensate them for their time. And thank you, Nadia, for inviting me. Thank you all for listening to me. I look forward to listening to the rest of your meeting.
Nadia?
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. I love you. Heart. So when I speak, I like to give some, like an antidote so that it can humanize the stories that you can see behind it. Jay hit on a good topic, is that we are just was revolt against an idea that we have in the United States for norms, and those are the only people that are allowed to exist in any space that fit into these boxes. And what we forget sometimes is that our children are watching, and our children are watching on how they're going to grow up and fit in. And one of my first experiences growing up, I was in 11th grade and I did a report on the AIDS epidemic, and I presented it to my class. And I remember speaking on it at the time because my uncle had come out and my uncle had told us that he had AIDS. And this was in the early 90s, late 80s. And that's when AIDS was spoken of as something that only happened in the LGBTQ community. And I remember that when I was done, I walked outside and there was a girl in my class and she grabbed me by my hair and she pulled me back and she said, are you a homo? And I remember I looked at her and I said, excuse me? And she said, you heard me. She goes, if you are, I don't want you in the locker room. And at the time, I remembered that I had had crushes, and it was very difficult for me. And the hate in which she presented, I quickly denounced it by saying I was speaking about my uncle because I was a coward and didn't want to say that it had anything to do with me. And I existed through that because I live in a brown community that's very Catholic. I grew up in a community, I'm a first generation Mexican, Arabic, and in both my family side, that's just not something you are. You're not LGBTQ, you're confused. You're not that, that's just how it is. And I couldn't bring myself to, in my mind, disappoint my family that way. So I grew up hiding it and doing everything I could to ignore it until my son came out to me at 12 and he was simply in tears. And he told me, Mom, I don't want you to hate me. I don't want you to be mad at me. I don't want you to be sad. But I need to tell you that I have feelings both for boys and girls. And I was transported back. And I, again, took the cowardly route and didn't tell my son about myself. And I cried, scared about what the world would treat this piece of my soul, what would happen when he walked out into the world, what people would say if somebody would grab his hair like they had mine, if somebody would yell at him and tell him, and he would go into himself and never be able to express that part of himself ever in life like I had all through my 20s and all through my 30s. And I found PFLAG, and PFLAG walked me through it. And even to this day, there's a lot of people that don't know who I am, because it's not something that even me at 43 can let go of the stigma that was embedded in me. Even though I help my son and I help the community and I go out there and I try to help kids find safe spaces, it is so ingrained with just those few interactions. It is so embedded in us that you find it hard to overcome yourself, your own feelings. So even the most basic education, such as knowing that pronouns matter. To you, it may seem like well, I don't see the difference. It's just a word. To somebody whose identity is based in the pronouns that they are taking the time to share with you, it is much more than just a moment or a word that comes out of your mouth. It is you seeing them, accepting them, and not just tolerating. Tolerating is such a horrible word that we should leave in the background, because it has kept Black, brown, and LGBTQ people down for so long, because we don't need to be tolerated. We need to be accepted. We need to be included. We need to be at the table with everyone else at the same time. So one of the biggest things I hope that we can bring from this week of Pride, for those that may not know, is that when somebody shares this space with you, even if it seems aloof to you, they go, oh, I'm queer. And it seems like not a big deal to you. Think of all the steps it took for that person to be able to say that out loud. Think of all the experiences they had to go through to be able to share that with you, to be able to say that in a space where they feel that you should understand it. And whether they do it in any form or shape, be accepting of it. Don't out somebody else. Even if we walk away, and I've told you all here in this space, it's never for you to go and tell somebody else what somebody's experience is. Just even if it's your child, even if it's your friend, even if this person is all over, it's never for you to take that very personal aspect and share it in spaces. Because some people don't want to be identified that way. Some people just want to walk through spaces and just be themselves and be seen, or they want to share that themselves, or they don't trust the spaces. So it's important to remember that. One of the other things is, please, if you are running for office, consider the ramifications of the things that you are writing up for proposals or voting on. Look at how that will affect even something like healthcare, where you think it's completely devoid from the rest of other aspects, have impacts on LGBTQ youth, have impacts on LGBTQ adults. Because a lot of times those are written with just enough verbiage that they exclude certain things. And nobody is in those spaces advocating for these people because we're not allowing them to represent themselves. And we have to be able to be that representation until we support them into positions of power. And that's what we should be doing. And we should never, ever consider that there is anybody that is okay to leave behind on any aspect. Everybody should be considered. Whether you agree, whether you say, I'm completely gay friendly, that doesn't mean that you might not be transphobic. You have to unpack those things. And when people educate you, I know Jay does a wonderful job of educating me. She's amazing. And she does it in such a way that brings me forward and makes me think and makes me learn. And that makes me a better person and makes me capable of helping the kids that I get to help. So I'll leave you with one last story. And I'm sorry I've taken up so much time. When I started the idea for the LGBTQ youth swim time, which I'm doing now in South Bay, which is a passion project for me. One of the stories that drove me to do it was one of the parents contacted me through PFLAG and said, my daughter is getting bullied every day at school. They're grabbing her and pulling her down and trying to pull down her pants, trying to do things in the school is not helping. And she doesn't want to go out in public. She doesn't want to go out in the summer because if the school can't protect her, if the school where she's supposed to be safe can't put in places things to protect her, how can she go to a public pool and not be harassed? How can she go to the beach and be okay? There's nobody there to protect her. What am I going to do? And the idea of a child, any child, losing a summer because they are scared, because there's nobody advocating for them, because the powers that be think it's okay to bully this one child because they brought it upon themselves because of who they are. That's not okay. And that's why I fought so hard to bring it forward. And that's why we have such amazing groups. The people it touched on, Jay, Fem and them, people reached out and said, I wish I had this when I was a kid, because I missed out on so many chances to just go swim, to just be myself, to just forget about everything else and just get in the pool. So when we put forth leaders, we need to put forth leaders that understand this. You don't have to live somebody's life to respect their story, to advocate for them, to be there for them. This is what Pride is, the reminder that we don't have to walk this to listen to the people that are walking this and what their needs are. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Nadia. I really appreciate you taking the lead on this, and I appreciate you sharing so much with everyone. And I hope that everybody heard you and that they learned. I see some applause, I see some hearts. So I think I'm glad we were able to have this meeting. I don't know if you want to take questions or not. This is the part we generally open up questions for speakers.
I think Jay and I are open to questions, right, Jay?
Yeah, I'm okay with questions.
So I see Lori has her hand up.
So thanks to both of you for sharing your personal experiences. And, you know, what I found is people really don't understand how, just as with systemic discrimination, how deeply embedded it is. And it was mentioned about marriage equality. And, you know, when we fought for that in the legislature here in California, there were so many people who kept insisting they could just do something, I called it marriage light. And they didn't understand how many thousands of impacts throughout our lives those rights and responsibilities have. So I wonder if you might expand a little bit on that. It was mentioned, but you know, marriage, it's a binding contract on so many things, and it's just. Could you maybe explain a little bit more about what's involved with marriage equality?
Yeah, and what I was speaking about specifically is, I mean, marriage equality, we have that, and I mean, we're still fighting for that. People are still trying to challenge it, but disabled people cannot get married without having their benefits taken away, without, you know, losing, you know, health care. And, you know, a lot of times if, you know, people that are disabled are, you know, able to get married to someone, you know, and if that's not going to be a factor, then that's, you know, a big deal. But that's making a lot of assumptions that this person, you know, doesn't need now an income of their own. It, you know, keeps them completely dependent on, you know, this person that they married, and there's, you know, a lot of risk of abuse that goes along with that. So marriage equality, you know, is still something that has not been achieved for, you know, all people, not to mention, you know, LGBTQ people. So when we think about, you know, the most marginalized of our communities, disabled people, are there. And if you're a person of color, if you're trans, then that makes that experience, that much, further in, difficult to see, because now you're dealing with all of the same issues that you would if you were trans, compiled with the issues you would deal with if you're a person of color. And then on top of that, being disabled and knowing you can't marry the person you love, because if you do, your benefits are going to be taken away. So marriage equality is something that we still, all need to fight for in order to make sure that our most marginalized are not further marginalized and are able to take advantage of the benefits that go along with being married without losing all sense of, being able to provide for themselves in that relationship. If the other person is even able to sustain, both people. A lot of times, it's not even something that's possible, not to mention putting that burden on their partner of now needing to take care of them. A lot of times we're talking about two people that are barely able to take care of themselves as it is financially, and then taking away benefits. It just does not make it an equal situation. And there is no marriage equality until all of us can get married equally.
Thank you.
Okay, I see Tim Balash, Dr. Balash, you had a,
Thank you. Appreciate the speakers, and what I hear is a lot of pain, so I'm very sorry for that. I don't think I'm well known in this group. My name is Dr. Timothy Balash. I've worked for many years as a physician, obstetrician, gynecologist. So some of these issues are within my own scope of practice, and have come across it over time and very interested in it. I would not say too much more in this setting, but I would offer to make myself available, maybe for a small group discussion, if anybody had an interest. Maybe that's some way I could learn more about the things that you would consider most important moving forward for the issues you brought up. I also have a question for Doug Case, an announcement maybe at the end. Perhaps I don't know if you want to say anything, or and I would just offer, as the male gender, as an obstetrician gynecologist for 30 years, we often make a lot of assumptions, and particularly as providers, we make presumptions. And we act on those without really knowing the individual person. And we're not given a lot of time in recent years to get to know much about any individual, much less those who have particular needs that might be a little individual. So I would just ask that to help me find ways that you think would be useful moving forward, to move out of the pain from the past and to make everybody's life, regardless of their individual issues and the ones that touch on what you've said. Did I get lost?
so Dr. Balash, I think, Nadia or Jay are both welcome to respond or comment if they had anything they want to say.
Sure. Or you can, I'll put my phone number if you want, or email, or if they want to contact me.
Okay.
If you're on Facebook, feel free to friend request me.
I don't.
So Tim,
I'm not on Facebook. That's the thing. So however, I'll leave it. I'll send my information to the club, and then you can contact them if you want. Okay.
thank you, Tim.
I think personally in the medical field, it's extremely important. Having just worked in the ERs for a bit, is that there's this understanding, there's a lack of training amongst medical officials. And it's not just the doctors, but the nurses and the staff that bring in. And while I understand that they look at from a scientific point of view, is their perception, there is no scientific proof that there are only two genders. There's actually scientific proof that gender is a different phenomenon. So I think it's important, especially doctors that enter into political spaces where they become leadership, for them to push, one, for pronouns to be available on the intake paperwork, two, for the things that the trans community needs in terms of medication, in terms of assistance, in terms of different specialists that they need to see, to be brought into and mandatory on any kind of insurance qualifications. Basically anything. There's so many things now just in California that are lacking on insurance qualifications, but that should be something that's on there. And three, there shouldn't be an age requirement. We have children as young as 8 that know that understand gender dysphoria and understand that they are not in the body that they know they're supposed to be. And this is something that at a young age, if we can touch on, if we can bring doctors into understanding doctors, then that would be good. I also think that in terms of mental health, I'm very big on mental health. There's hardly any mental health professionals that specialize in LGBTQ youth, let alone LGBTQ community, period, in San Diego. And I find that so hard to believe, considering that we have we have Kaiser, Sharp, and Scripps here in San Diego. So to me, that means that nobody's really pushing to bring that into and make that of importance. So if we want to help our kids, we need to be able to make those a priority, in my opinion.
I might comment to some degree. Of course, the last year has been difficult because there's few in-person contact with physicians. And a lot of things have been going on, some of them that involved gender identity and women's rights and minorities. I was trained and practiced to pay attention to these issues, but I might just offer one thing of the many to talk about. Has to do with how the system decides who should be available to meet with people or to provide care for those who don't fit, the larger portion of the population, because that's a little bit easier. So I would say, especially because of the way that I have practiced, but as an employee.
Dr. Balash, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we are kind of going far afield. You've put your contact information.
I'm sorry. I thought maybe they would. Okay. No problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, so we've had our guest speakers, and Nadia and Jay, I want to tell you, I thank you both, and I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time and your willingness to be here. And I hope that you, Jay, I hope that you will know that you are always welcome to come, and that we appreciate your time and appreciate your sharing. All right, so absent any other actual questions, we move on to officer reports. And let's see here. I know that Yvonne had something to share. Yvonne, are you ready?
I am. Well, yes. Okay. So I have a couple things that I want to talk about. First, let me talk about the endorsement committee and the things that I wanted to talk about around that. So we have an endorsement committee, and what I need is for any of you who are on the endorsement committee that are on tonight, you should have received an email from me. We're going to have a kickoff meeting and I need to schedule that. So I put a doodle poll out to all of you. So if you're on the committee, please make sure you look for my email and respond. And then I want to talk a little bit about, because I know this club is really interested in making sure that we endorse or try to endorse in the special election for city council in La Mesa. So I talked to the party today. That election will be on November 2nd. The party themselves do not have information on all of the Democratic candidates who are going to run for that position. I do have the name of 2 of them that I got from the East, is it called the East Area Chair? But nothing, nothing official. So we will, I think we're going to try to target it. And although we're going to do most of our endorsement on like weekends going, for the 2022 cycle. For this one, I think we will just do this at I'm going to try to do it at our August meeting if we have all of the candidates in by that time. So I just wanted you to all know that that's when we're going to target. The party does not know when they're going to endorse it, or at least they couldn't tell me that. So I thought if we could get ours done in August, we would be sure to be done before the party then, reaches out to all the areas to decide who they're going to endorse. So any questions about that real quick?
Did my tray work?
All right, then the other thing is I have agreed to host the house viewing party for the Democratic Women's Club for the Roosevelt Dinner, which is on July 31st. So it's going to be kind of a hybrid affair where people can join online, but different clubs and different groups of people are going to have small groups at people's homes. So the Democratic Women's Club is going to sponsor it at my house. The club has purchased like a table, and all of those tickets are designated for people on the board and on the active committees. But I can host up to 10 more people. So that would be a total of 20 at my house. Anybody who is interested in going, those 10 people, if you will email me, I will send you the link. The tickets are $100 a piece. And you can then join us at my home on July 31st. So I think the easiest way so that we can just limit it to 10 instead of just pushing out the link. I think if you would email me, I will send you the link and then you can sign up. And then like I said, we will have it at my house on the 10th or the 31st, I'm sorry. Any questions about that? Cool. And Rosamond is going to co-host with me and help me with that. So thank you. All right, that's it. That's all I had. Luana.
All right, thank you, Yvonne. Rosamond?
Well, our funds are at a low point. We're probably the lowest point that we've ever been. Our bank account shows $1,808.53. We just made the donation to the Roosevelt event for $1,000, so that's why it's down so low. As E-Board has agreed that we are not to donate anything until we can bring the funding up to at least $3,500 again. Secondary is that our membership has dropped considerably. It dropped from 70 members last month to 61 this month. So we are losing members, and members that we've had for years are not renewing. So I would encourage you to get out and bring more members in if possible. It's a great club. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Lori. Oh, sorry. y'all.
It's all right, Luana. I've had adults behave much worse, really. So I think the one thing I wanted to update members on is that there's now going to be a joint legislative audit committee review of deaths in custody here in San Diego. And we had, I think some of our members and others in the racial justice community in San Diego request through Dr. Akila Weber's office that this take place. In the past, the club has submitted letters supporting other legislation. I'm not sure we had a chance to do it on this issue, but I think we had discussed this at various times. One of the deaths in custody in San Diego County jails involved a young woman who was pregnant. She passed out, had a stroke in front of medical staff and a sheriff's deputy, and they just walked away and left her. And the result is that the county is facing millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits. And of course, people are dying. Over 150 people under Bill Gore's reign, or his term as mayor. So I'm sorry, as county sheriff. So I've been reading about the recall in between the meeting here. So I think that we need to look at how we can continue to be effective in pushing good policies forward. And so also I wanted to, I'm kind of looking at ways we can come together in person, maybe get a guest speaker and do something for summer. We've talked a little bit about that as on e-board. And I'm curious this evening if we could get some feedback from members. How many people feel comfortable doing something outdoors? I don't want to propose anything indoors, but at some point, I think that's something we want to explore for August, and maybe do a fundraiser that I've agreed to help organize as well. So if people want to respond in the comments, I would appreciate that. So I get a sense of how many people would prefer a virtual fundraiser and how many might be interested in something outdoors, a picnic, a potluck, something like that, that we can do as we are able and do it safely in the coming months. But for those of you who did submit any kinds of letters or calls or comments on the issues you've been working on, we'll continue to give you opportunities to do that. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Shirley Weber in her position and other San Diego legislators that made this joint legislative audit committee request unanimous. Every member voted to support that. And so that was a really good sign for how we were able as an organization here in San Diego and a Democratic community to put pressure on the legislators in that case.
Okay, I guess the closing of the camera means that is, that's a done. Oh, Jay.
I just want to say something in addition to what I was saying with the Sheriff's Department. Anytime we're talking about that or thinking about that, think about the fact that they are still putting
Jay, the sound quality, I'm not sure if you're away from the mic or what's happening.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just if you can just remember and talk about, when we do talk about the problem with the Sheriff's Department is they are putting trans women in men's jails, they are putting trans men in women's jails, they are dehumanizing us. Even though the police department, this SDPD has a policy and has had a policy against it, it's not what happens. I'm also on the board of Lambda Archives, and we are currently working on a project to record stories of trans people that have been arrested and dehumanized and victimized in this way. So yeah, if you're doing anything with and around the Sheriff's Department, I would love to be included in this, and I would love some sort of recognition for the violence that trans folks face in this system.
I would encourage you to contact Dr. Akila Weber's Assembly Office. She is the office that will be leading on this, and the audit staff is going to be looking at this. It's a very detailed, their process takes months, but information like that, Dr. Weber's office can forward that to the audit committee staff, and they can add that to concerns. So thank you for bringing that up. We're also seeing this weekend, we saw like 7 fentanyl overdoses in jail. We're not only seeing deaths in custody, we're just seeing, generally abusive behaviors and problems with people's health and safety. So if anyone else has concerns that they want to have addressed, they need to, the best thing would be to refer to Akila Weber's office.
Okay, I think, let's see it. I don't think we have any other questions there. Oh boy. Nadia, do you have a report?
Okay. I'll see you all on
Hi,
Monday. I'll send a report and then follow up from there.
Gosh, I look terrible. I keep turning it off and then turning it back on. I'm so sorry about that. I do want to say that as a communications director, I want to start communicating more, especially making sure that we have a event in Facebook so that you all can click. So if you haven't started following the Democratic Women's Club page on Facebook, please follow that. I'm going to do an event each time so you can just go on there, click, and bring right into it. I did want to say too, I don't know, for all of the, you, I can't speak, I apologize. Next month, South Bay does their own Pride events. So San Diego has July, South Bay has August. So you're all welcome to come to South Bay Pride August 21st. We can share all that. And if you have anything like an event, anything you want to go out on the Democratic Women's Club Facebook or Instagram or onto the things, go ahead and forward it to me. I think my email, I think everybody in the world has my email now, but if not, I'll go ahead and put it on the stuff, and we can just get that out there once we put it through our president. But we want to start making sure that everybody knows everything that's going on and easily can click and do it, because I know that like I'm super lazy and just have to click a button all the time. So I'm sure I'm not the only one. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. I'm still learning this whole thing. You would think I'd never done this before. So next, Sarah Davis, I don't know if you're here in the meeting, haven't heard from you. I don't know if you have anything to report. I don't see Sarah. Okay, Kathy, do you have anything to report?
Nope, nothing.
Okay, nope's always a good answer.
Thank you.
All right, so now moving through the agenda, we did officer reports. We kind of touched on new business. This is a part where if you have announcements to share, please share your announcements. And to get us started, I'll take a little bit of privilege and I will announce that my annual Comic-Con event is going to take place September 4th and 5th. And this is for my personal business. So I'm announcing as a private citizen, and I will have Eisner Award-winning artists and writers. I'll have John Jennings. I'll have David Walker. I've had a lot of comic book creators and artists, RSVP, as well as stores. And there will also be culture and art. And we'll be talking about potential issues of the future, like yes, nerds unite always. And we'll be talking about things like the food crisis and the future of economics and things like that. And I'm going to mute and stop because my grandson is not going to be quiet anymore. But I'll put the link in the chat.
What's that sound?
Alina June Nawabi. Sorry, I should have said that before I muted.
Oh, no, you're good. And your grandson, even though he's blurry, I'm sure he's cute. Um, yeah, I wanted to announce that we had the privilege of having Representative Karen Bass introduce the Muslim heritage that will be introduced on the congressional floor, and we'll have July commemorated to the Muslim heritage. And on top of that, we do have Muslim appreciation coming up in August. We'll be celebrating on county and city level here in San Diego. And tomorrow is our Eid, which is it's a festival where we celebrate our holiday. So yeah.
All right, thank you. Any other announcements? Wow, it is 7:38. I will ask one more time if there are any other announcements, and then I will continue with the rest of the agenda. Going once? Okay, Kate, you're up.
I'm just excited to be back here. It's been a couple of months since I've visited, and I'm so sorry to have missed previous meetings, but I'm excited to announce that due to circumstances beyond my control, I am now the president of the Chula Vista Elementary School Board, and we are in the process of trying to hire a new superintendent. And as a result, the president of my school board stepped down so that he can apply to be the superintendent. As such, we have an opening on the school board at Chula Vista Elementary School District. So if you or anybody that you know that lives in the Chula Vista district would like to apply to be on the board, we will be going through the process of appointing somebody to fill the position. So that is an opportunity for all of you strong, amazing women to, if there's anybody in our district, to step up and maybe serve on our board. We'd love to have anyone apply. Thanks so much.
Wow, okay. Tish Leon. Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't unmute, so you got to hear all the chaos.
Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm new to East County. I just moved here from Orange County, and I'm just going to submit my membership register so I could be a member of your club. So I just wanted to introduce myself and say hey.
Well, hey to you and welcome and thank you. I appreciate you speaking up. I'm glad you enjoyed us enough to want to be a part of our group.
But I was very, very active in Orange County. So it's just time for me to get, back into the groove. Find out about San Diego politics.
All right. Well, we welcome you and
thank you.
Happy to have you. So Rob Howard.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to share an event in North County as we're doing some outreach. The North County African American Women's Association in North County does a wonderful fundraiser. It's called the Gentleman's Gourmet, and they'll be at the Omni Hotel on September 25th. I'm sharing that information for a couple of reasons. One, I believe it's a wonderful network of people that club members should get to know, as I am big on us reaching out to different organizations and expanding those who are involved in democratic politics. It's a great group of women. It's a scholarship fundraiser, and it also supports their girls mentoring program. It started as a middle school girls mentoring. It has moved to middle school and high school, and I put the link in the chat. It's probably, if I were to look at one of the fundraisers that's the most fun, this one is in the top 3. So September 25th, it's at the Omni Hotel, which, by the way, is the only Union Hotel North County coastal. So we're trying to also support for that reason as well, because there's a lot of hotels around, but I like the ones where people actually get benefits when they work there. So September 25th, North County African American Women's Association fundraiser. It's called the Gentleman's Gourmet. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Rob. It's always good to hear from you. Francine Maxwell, you're up.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulty. I wanted to share that the NAACP San Diego branch will be having a town hall with the FBI Civil Rights Division on July 27th at 6 p.m. at the CARE Community Center, 12 North Euclid Avenue in National City. And some people will be meeting for the first time. I didn't make it big enough. Suzanne Turner, our special agent in charge of San Diego. So all are welcome to come there to the Care Center. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much for being here. So I think, let me share my link. Thank you, people. I think that wraps it up. I will share this link real quick for the people who want it. And I think that ought to do it. Francine, if you have details or anyone else who has made announcements that you want to drop in the chat, please feel free to do so. Next thing on the agenda is adjournment. So absent any reason not to adjourn, I propose that we do so. We've covered everything. We've went through the whole agenda. I think we've had an effective and fun meeting. Anybody have any questions? You can always reach out to us, info@dwc-sd.org. And I look forward to seeing you all next month. I'm not certain that the date of our fundraiser for August will be the third Monday. I think we may shoot for that, but I'll work with Lori on that. And in lieu of having a regular business meeting, we will be having a fundraiser next month. But of course, we still welcome everyone's feedback and comments because they're all amazing. Yvonne.
So if we're not going to have a meeting in August, how am I going to have an endorsement in August?
Oh, then we're having a meeting in August, y'all. Sorry. So we're going to do both.
Are we going to be meeting in person in August?
Well, I will be receiving feedback from our members and find out what we're going to do. The things that are on the table are meeting in person, continuing to meet purely on Zoom, or having a hybrid meeting where we're partially in person, but we allow people who want to meet on Zoom to join in from Zoom. So this is your opportunity to let us know. You can just send an email to info@dwc-sd.org, and we will be able to process that and make a good decision and give you notice.
Why don't we put a poll on Facebook and our Twitter account?
Okay, so we'll put polls on Facebook and our Twitter account.
And Nadia do that?
Nadia can do everything. She's brilliant and amazing.
Okay. It's possible to do polls on the posts now. So
yeah, Barrett, I think you're out of order, but yeah, you're right. So I think okay, I see. I agree with Doug. So we will have the polls, and I hope you will all forgive me for not hanging around and playing music tonight, but it was a stress move just to share myself with you all for us to take care of the meeting things. My heart goes out to people who do this every day. This is one day for me, and I am glad. I'm surprised I still have hair.
My daddy.
Yeah.
Yay for the grandbaby.
Yeah, and he's looking at a picture of his dad, and that's all he can talk about. So thank you all. Love you. Appreciate you, and see you all next month.
Thank you.
Bye. Wave.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
See everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Her little grand's right there.
Bye.
He's a handsome guy.
Bye. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Say bye.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Congratulations, Kate.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
With much power comes much responsibility, right?
You are ready for the job.
I am.
He's the head that holds the throne.
What is it? Some men are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. Category 3.
He wants to show everybody his daddy's picture.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night.
Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You have to stay on my lap. Everybody's gone now. Whew.